Welcome back to the Hurry Up, presented by Hoop Good Media Group, powered by TriStateFootball.com. Be sure to follow us on all social media at HG Media Group and at TS Football. It's week 5 in a blur. We're here halfway through the season and excited to kind of get these guys' opinions on how their seasons are going and what it will take for them this week to get a win. Monroe coming off their first win of the season. They're going out for a tough one at Clinton Massey. And Coach Mueller here is going to be our first guest. And we'll have him on right after this. All right, so we'll jump back in. We got Monroe Hornets coach here, Mark Mueller. Sorry about that. 35-8 victory last week. What'd you like about your team's performance coming off your first win of the season?
Well, for us, it's been turnovers. So the fact that we took the ball away 3 times and didn't give it away was huge for us. We're starting a sophomore quarterback, and anytime you start a sophomore, he's gonna make a few mistakes, and we can see that he's progressing very well in the last 4 games, and obviously had a turnover-free game this week.
And you've had a very tough out-of-conference schedule. Continues this week going to Clinton Massey. They love to run the football. Over 1,100 yards rushing so far this season. How do you stop the run this week, and that'll likely could lead you to a win?
Yeah, I played Clinton Massey a couple times with other schools. So I mean, they're going to run the ball. I mean, that's what they do. That's how they, won multiple state titles in the past. And so I think it's more of how can we contain them and control them and get them, out of rhythm. We want a team that wants to run the ball doesn't like third and long. So for us, it's more focused on, stopping them first down, second down, and getting them a little bit uncomfortable and out of their little rhythm that they like to get into. Third and short for them is easy. Fourth and short for them is easy. And so if we can just get them, off pace a little bit and make them, throw the ball maybe or make them, go longer distances to get the first down, I think we could have success.
And they have several running backs, but Trampler, 513 yards, 5 touchdowns. What is he kind of? How is he kind of tough to stop, and what does he give their team?
Well, I mean, like I said, this is a traditional Massey team. They have backs in the backfield. They normally have one that's a big bruiser type, which they have, that they're going to, pound short yardage with. And then they have a guy that they want to get out in space. They want to bunch you up in their bone. They want to bring you inside and then have a guy that can get the edge. And that's his job on this team is to obviously still get tough yards inside, but then, be athletic enough to hurt you when you do try to take some things away in the middle to keep you honest.
And you talked about your offense just a little bit, but that Mason Reynolds to Bryant Lee connection that's kind of been going well for you in the passing game. Is that something you expected coming into the season? Those two kind of having that chemistry, and how do you keep that going when teams going to start to scout that a lot and try to take that away?
Yeah, I mean, and obviously Bryant's he's a great slot receiver. He's very good in space. Mason was in a quarterback battle, the whole preseason, and actually our senior got hurt. Maddox Monroe, he showed up. He was on the field last week, and our thing is we've had people out of games all year, and this will be the first game that we have everybody back. Jaden Hounshell, played against Wyoming. He ran the ball well against Wyoming. He's actually a receiver, and so this will be probably the first week that we've had all the tools on offense, and hopefully we can utilize all the tools and get their focus off of Bryant and let Jaden have the ball, let Maddox get the ball. We have Dylan DePue outside also, a taller receiver. So we just got to be able to, if they're going to focus on one of our guys, hopefully be able to spread it around to the other guys.
So are we thinking like a two quarterbacks playing, or will Maddox maybe going another position?
Well, Maddox played running back last week. He's got a sore shoulder, so that was his injury early on. He's obviously clear, but he's not throwing the ball as well. So, we're doing some Wildcat stuff. We did that against Wyoming with Jaden Hanchel, and that was very successful for us until he hurt his shoulder. I think late in the second quarter. So, Maddox. I mean, Mason is young as a sophomore. Mason is a little bit on the smaller side. So. With our offensive line being the most experienced group that we know that we have to run the ball, and so finding creative ways to limit the hits on Mason, and that could be Maddox, it could be Hansel, it could be Dylan Miller's our running backs or Luke Levering. So we just try to find ways to where we can still get some key runs in without putting Mason in some harm right now until he matures a little bit more.
Right. And finally, we definitely don't want to look ahead, but the Southwestern Buckeye League, very tough conference. That'll be 5 straight games of that after this week. What does it take night in and night out to compete in the league and, try to come away with the league title?
Yeah, I'd be honest, I didn't know much about the Southwest Buckeye League. We played Monroe when I was at Fenwick, and it was a physical football game. And then going through it last year, there might not be, multiple D1 athletes out on the field, but they're a bunch of tough kids, and they're a bunch of well-coached football teams. So it's going to be a battle week in, week out physically. And it's going to be a law of, who can make it through each game and what are they lining up with the next week. So it's going to be a grinder is kind of how I explain it to my other coaching friends is well-coached football teams, physical football teams. And it's a week in, week out of a pounding and how fast can we get our guys ready the next week to go line up again in the SWBL.
Very physical league. Yes, sir. Well, Coach, thank you for joining me today here on the Hurry Up. And good luck this week against Clinton Massey and going forward in the league play.
Brandon, I appreciate you having me on, my friend.
No problem. Have a good one.
You also.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is KJ Green. And after you're done with the Hurry Up, come check out my podcast, Sports from the Hoodwood. Insightful, intelligent, and intense. Sports commentary with the Hoodwood edge. Sports from the Hoodwood, link posted below. And now, without much further ado, back to the Hurry Up.
Back here with Coach Micah Faler, Lebanon Warriors. They're 3-1 on the season. I want to take you back to last week just for a second. Tight game in the first quarter. Only gave up like one score in the second through fourth. What'd you like about your team's performance, although you didn't come out with the win?
Yeah, I thought, I thought we didn't back down to them. I thought our guys played really hard. There were times where we executed very well on both sides of the ball. And, obviously Anderson's one of the best teams in the state of Ohio. And, I thought that, at times we played well. And there were times that we didn't play well. And there were key moments we didn't execute like we should have. And we learned from that and we move on. But I was definitely proud of the Warriors and their effort. And, when you play a team that has, kids that have been recruited from all over that, are D1, 5-star, 4-star guys, and our guys went in there and didn't back down to them at all. So I was proud of that.
Okay, we moved. You got Little Miami this week, off to a slow start, but they did get their first win last week. I want to talk about quarterback Camden Fox, been kind of like a dual threat. What have you seen from him and the Little Miami team?
Yeah, I mean, in referencing their quarterback, he's a good athlete and he's a competitor. And, that's the biggest thing I see on film with him is, he's a tough player. You can tell by the way he plays. I mean, he's a competitor. He leads his team. He is definitely someone we're not taking lightly. He is, stopping him is going to be, a big key to success for us on the defensive side of the ball. And then just in general with the team, they've been through a few head coaching changes in the last few years, and that's hard on any team. I think, to, build that continuity and that unity as a team. But, they're obviously, got in the win column last week, and they had an impressive win. And so we know that their confidence level is going to be high. This is their homecoming game. It's on their field. And you add those factors in with the fact this is a rivalry game for us. It always has been. Lebanon, Little Miami. It's the Route 48, rivalry that goes back quite a while, two neighboring communities. So, I've been telling my players all week, records don't matter when you go into a game like this. It doesn't matter, what our record is, what their record is, who they beat, who we beat, et cetera. It comes down to, just execution, controlling the turnover margin, playing our game, blocking out that outside noise, and going over there into what's going to be a fun environment and getting the job done.
And you've been solid defensively this year. You held down Landon Young of West Claremont. I would say slowed down the Anderson offense quite a bit from, what they've done. Guys like Hunter Davis, Jackson Martin, Ari Sizemore, they're all top 12 in the conference in tackles. Talk about the production of those guys on the defensive side.
Yeah, they're playing really good football right now, and for a lot of those guys, they're Friday night experience is not new to them. So their experience is showing right now. They're playing like a veteran group that they are, and they're really leading some of the younger guys that we have playing on defense for the first time. They're setting that example, but they're what we may not have the biggest some of the biggest size on defense right now, but our speed on defense and the way they swarm to the football is really impressive right now. And my expectation is they continue doing that. And, you mentioned a few guys like Hunter and Jackson and Ari. They're playing really smart and they're playing really fast. And those are two, great combinations to have on the defensive side of the ball.
And finally, I want to talk about your son, Luke, as a quarterback. I know you've been enjoying the ride of coaching him in this final year. He's completing 59% of his passes, over 700 yards, 7 touchdowns, only 1 INT. I know you're happy about that. How would you assess, his play so far, and what does he need to do to go forward as y'all look to push for that playoff berth?
Yeah. Luke's playing high level football right now, and it's fun to watch, even after coming off a tough Anderson loss, which is, their defense is the strength of that team and maybe one of the best defenses in the state of Ohio, and coming off of that, where offensive production, we moved the ball on them, but we weren't able to finish, we weren't able to capitalize. Just seeing the positivity, after that of, hey, this is where we have to get better, seeing those guys on the offensive side hit the film room and just work to improve. We're putting a lot on Luke this year. He's using his legs a lot more than he has the last 2 years because we believe he has the physicality this year to do it. And we're also putting a lot more options on his plate, so we're calling a basic call and he has 2 to 3 options every play and we're telling him, make us right, and so much of our offensive production, so far this year has been a result of that. So, and you couple that with, our offensive line is playing well right now. We have a running back in Logan Schmenk who is just, solid week in and week out. Just tough yards. And then we've got a lot of threats, on the outside, whether it's Nick Lauder, it's Daniel Wallace, it's Wyatt Lassen, Jack Seiko. There's a lot of threats out there, and Luke's doing a nice job distributing the ball out there to them.
And finally, before you go, you're in the tough ECC conference, really not a night off when it comes to the Andersons, the Kings, the Wynwoods. As you move forward, pushing towards the playoffs, what does it take, week in and week out to give the best effort and hopefully come out with a win?
Yeah. I think the ECC is continuing to make a name for itself as a conference. It really is. When you look at the GMC, you look at the GCL, the ECC is, right up there with it as far as producing state champions, producing the amount of players that play at the next level. The talent is there. And so, you're exactly right. There is no game off, And I mean, you're playing a 9-game conference schedule. You get one non-conference game, and other than that, it's all conference play. So, I think what's key for us is, as well as, a lot of ECC schools, or any school for that matter, is, staying healthy throughout the duration of the season. As you plan to, look ahead into the postseason, you got to stay healthy. And I think also too, managing just the grind of the season, it's a tough sport. It's a physical sport. So, those recovery things that we do with our guys, just changing up things in practice, making it fun. You gotta do some of that stuff, to have your team kind of peak at the right time. And, I'm really excited for where we're at right now.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you for taking the time, joining me today. Good luck on Friday and the rest of the season as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Yeah, you as well.
Bye-bye. That was Coach Micah Faler, coming up from the Lebanon Warriors, and they're having a great season. Great season. Maybe a little unexpected of what they've done so far, but they're looking like a team that can really, make the playoff push and pull out some victories here as they end the ECC season. So looking forward to what they have going on. Thanks for watching the Hurry Up. Be sure to like and subscribe on our YouTube page, Hoop Good Media Group. Follow us on all social media at HG Media Group. I'd like to thank our guests today for joining us. Good luck to them this week, and we'll see you next time.